Top 30 strangest restaurants in America's past. Americans love a good meal, but some restaurants take dining to a whole new level of strange. From goats on rooftops to meals inside airplanes and even caves, these spots mix food with pure spectacle. Curious? Let's explore the weirdest, wildest, and most unforgettable restaurants in America. Would you dare to try them? Heart Attack Grill, Las Vegas, Nevada. The Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas might just take the crown for the most outrageous restaurant theme in America. Imagine walking into a place that doesn't just serve food, it puts on a full-blown performance. Instead of menus and waiters, you're treated like a patient. You slip into a hospital gown, and your servers, dressed as provocative nurses, hand out your prescriptions. But these prescriptions aren't vitamins, they're mountains of greasy, heart-stopping food. The menu is designed to shock. Think quadruple bypass burgers, stacked so high they look impossible to finish, or hot dogs nicknamed coronary dogs. And here's the kicker. If you weigh more than 350 pounds, you actually eat for free. Talk about leaning into the theme, and after overstuffing yourself, forget walking it off. A nurse will gladly roll you out to your car in a wheelchair, making the entire meal an unforgettable, if not unsettling spectacle. Opaque, Los Angeles, California. One of the strangest dining concepts to ever hit Los Angeles was a restaurant called Opaque. This wasn't your typical trendy spot with neon lights and Instagram-worthy decor. In fact, at Opaque, you couldn't even see your food because you ate the entire meal in complete darkness. The experience started the moment you walked in. Guests were blindfolded and carefully led to their seats, relying entirely on touch and sound to navigate the room. Once seated, a pre-fixed meal was served, but without the benefit of sight, every bite became a mystery. Was that chicken or maybe fish? Was the texture creamy, crunchy, or something in between? The whole point was to heighten your other senses: taste, smell, and even hearing, while stripping away the influence of sight. For many diners, it turned a simple dinner into an unforgettable, almost meditative experience. Eating in the dark became both strange and strangely enlightening. The Yurt Solitude Mountain Resort, Utah. At the Yurt in Utah's Solitude Mountain Resort, dinner isn't just a meal, it's an adventure. When you book a reservation here and they tell you to take a hike, they actually mean it. To reach the restaurant, guests strap on snowshoes and trek half a mile through the quiet, snowy woods. It's cold, it's crisp, and it feels like you're heading toward a hidden lodge straight out of a winter storybook. Once you finally arrive, the reward is worth every step. Nestled beneath the trees is a cozy Mongolian-style yurt, softly lit and designed for just 26 guests. Inside, the atmosphere is warm, intimate, and almost magical compared to the icy trail outside. Diners are treated to a carefully prepared 4-course dinner where every dish feels like part of the experience. It's not just about food, it's about the journey. At the yurt, the hike through the snow is as memorable as the meal itself. Tony Paco's, Toledo, Ohio. If you ever find yourself in Toledo, Ohio, locals will insist you stop by Tony Paco's, a restaurant that's equal parts quirky, comforting, and downright iconic. This place has been around for decades, and while it might look like your average casual diner, its menu tells a very different story. Tony Paco's built its fame on two things: hot dogs and pickles. Their signature dog isn't plain. It's smothered in mustard, loaded with onions, and topped off with a tangy, top-secret sauce that's kept customers hooked for generations. And if you fall in love with the flavors, you don't have to leave them behind. You can actually buy jars of their famous Hungarian pickles to take home. But the menu doesn't stop at hot dogs. True to its roots, Paco's also serves hearty Hungarian classics like chicken paprikash and stuffed cabbage rolls, giving you the best of both comfort food worlds in one unforgettable meal. Ninja New York, New York. In the heart of Manhattan once stood one of the most unusual dining experiences the city ever saw. Ninja New York. Forget white tablecloths and quiet background music. This basement-level restaurant was designed to transport you straight into a Japanese ninja village. The setting was dramatic, with stone pathways, wooden bridges, and dim lighting that made the whole place feel like you'd stepped onto a movie set. But the real twist came from the staff. Every server was dressed head to toe like a ninja, and they didn't just walk up to your table. They leapt, snuck, and even popped out of hidden doors and trap windows scattered throughout the restaurant. Ordering dinner became part of the show. While guests enjoyed sushi, tempura, and other Japanese dishes, they were also treated to live ninja performances, sleight-of-hand tricks, sword displays, and surprise stunts that made every meal feel like dinner. And theater rolled into one. Mars, 2112, NYC, New York. For years, one of Times Square's wildest attractions wasn't a Broadway show or a neon billboard. It was a restaurant called Mars, 2112. This massive sci-fi themed diner promised to take guests on an interplanetary adventure without ever leaving New York. From the moment you stepped inside, it felt like you'd boarded a spaceship. The entrance even included a shuttle ride simulation that transported you straight to Mars. Once you arrived, the dining area stretched out like a giant movie set. Rocky red walls, glowing craters, and futuristic lighting made the whole place feel otherworldly. The menu kept the theme alive with galaxy-inspired dishes and cosmic cocktails that were as much fun to order as they were to eat. Families loved it. Tourists flocked to it, and for a time it was one of the city's must-see spots. Though it's now closed, Mars 2112 lives on as one of New York's strangest, most unforgettable dining experiences. Have you ever eaten at any of these places? Share your experience. We'd love to hear your story. Fife and Drum, West Concord, Massachusetts. Now here's a dining experience that's truly behind bars. The Fife and Drum in West Concord, Massachusetts wasn't just another quirky restaurant. It was located inside the Northeast Correctional Center, making it the only prison-run restaurant in the country. Eating there came with its own set of strict rules. Guests could only dine during a tight 1-hour window from 11:30 to 12:30. You had to show proper ID, hand over your cell phone, and go through security before being escorted inside. It felt more like entering lockup than walking into a cafe. Once seated, though, the experience was surprisingly down to earth. The meals were affordable, cooked and served by inmates nearing release, many of whom were training for jobs in food service. Fresh produce often came from the prison's own garden, giving the dishes an authentic, homegrown touch. Cowboy Dinner Tree, Silver Lake, Oregon. Tucked away in the high desert of Silver Lake, Oregon, the Cowboy Dinner Tree is as close as you'll ever get to stepping back into the Old West. Long before it became a restaurant, this spot was nothing more than a chuck wagon parked under a massive juniper tree, dishing out beans and biscuits to tired cowboys passing through. That same tree still stands today, marking the place where hungry travelers once gathered for a hot meal. These days, the chuck wagon has been replaced by a rustic, tack room-style cabin, but the spirit of cowboy cooking is alive and well. There's no fancy menu to pour over, you simply get what the cook's serving. And what they serve isn't skimpy. Expect heaping portions of hearty grub, the kind that could keep a ranch hand full from sunup to sundown. At Cowboy Dinner Tree, the food is big, the setting is simple, and the atmosphere is pure frontier charm. Twins Creek Cafe, Fort Worth, Texas. Most people don't think of a car dealership as a place to grab a bite to eat, but in Fort Worth, Texas, the Twins Creek Cafe proved that test drives and tasty meals could go hand in hand. Tucked right inside a Honda dealership, this unexpected little restaurant quickly became a local favorite. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Twins Creek didn't settle for the kind of bland snacks you'd expect at a showroom. Instead, it served up hearty, gourmet-level dishes that earned it rave reviews from surprised diners. Imagine sitting down to a well-cooked meal, eggs and bacon in the morning, or maybe a juicy burger at lunch, while glancing out at rows of brand-new cars gleaming under the showroom lights. It was a unique mix of business and pleasure. Shop for a car, satisfy your hunger, and maybe leave with both a full belly and a set of keys. Ichiran, NYC, New York. In a city where dining often means crowds, chatter, and elbow-to-elbow seating, Ichiran in New York offered something completely different: silence and solitude. This Japanese ramen chain brought its famous flavor concentration booths to the Big Apple, and for people who aren't exactly social butterflies, it felt like heaven. Instead of communal tables or loud dining rooms, each guest sat in a private cubicle built just for one. There was no need to make small talk, no clinking glasses, no interruptions, just you and your bowl of steaming tonkotsu ramen. Orders were placed electronically, and when your food was ready, it slid through a small curtained window without a word exchanged. The whole idea was simple. Let diners focus entirely on the flavor and the experience of eating, free from distraction. At Ichiran, it wasn't just about ramen, it was about savoring every bite in peace. Lumberjack Feud, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. If you like your dinner served with a side of adrenaline, then Lumberjack Feud in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee was the perfect spot. This wasn't just a restaurant, it was a full-blown spectacle. Guests sat down to hearty, casual barbecue favorites, while right in front of them, a team of burly lumberjacks turned the stage into an action-packed competition. Picture bearded men in plaid shirts swinging axes, chopping through massive logs and balancing on rolling timber in the water, all inside a giant amphitheater built for the show. It was like watching a slice of rugged frontier life come alive, only with spotlights and cheering crowds. Adults could wash it all down with cold craft beer from local breweries, while kids stuck to their favorites from a lineup of fast food-style eats. More than just dinner, Lumberjack Feud gave families a night of food, fun, and good old-fashioned rowdy entertainment. The Tonga Room, San Francisco, California. Hidden in the basement of San Francisco's historic Fairmont Hotel is a restaurant that feels like stepping straight into a tropical dream. The Tonga Room, a mid-century tiki classic, transformed a once ordinary space into a full-blown Polynesian paradise. At the heart of the restaurant sits a man-made lagoon, complete with a floating stage where the house band plays live music as guests dine. Tables are tucked beneath palm-thatched roofs, giving you the sense that you've been whisked away to a far-off island, even though you're still in the middle of the city. But what really sets the experience apart is the weather. Every so often, the lights dim, thunder rumbles, and a tropical storm rolls through the dining room, rain and all. Guests enjoy Polynesian fusion cuisine and exotic cocktails while the storm passes, creating an atmosphere that's equal parts kitsch and pure magic. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, don't hesitate to hit the like button below. If there's anything we can improve, take a moment to leave a comment. We're always looking to get better. Thanks so much. Dollar Bill Bar, Florida Keys. Down in the Florida Keys, there's a restaurant where the walls don't just tell stories, they're literally covered in cash. Known as the Dollar Bill Bar, this open-air seafood spot is tucked inside a luxury resort. But the real treasure isn't on the menu, it's hanging all around you. From floor to ceiling, every inch is plastered with signed $1 bills left behind by diners over the years. No one's exactly sure how the tradition started, but once the first bill went up, thousands followed. Each one carries a name, a date, or scribbled note, turning the restaurant into a living scrapbook of visitors from around the world. Of course, the food keeps people coming back too. Fresh seafood served with unbeatable sunset views over the ocean. For more than 60 years, the Dollar Bill Bar has been part quirky landmark, part local legend, and all around unforgettable. Mad Rex, Fishtown, Philadelphia. In Philadelphia's Fishtown neighborhood, dining once took a wild turn at a place called Mad Rex, a restaurant that let you feast like a survivor at the end of the world. Billed as a post-apocalyptic eatery, it blended food, theater, and spectacle into one futuristic night out. The interior looked like something straight from a movie set. Rusted metal walls, salvaged decor, and props that made you feel like civilization had collapsed just outside the door. The menu followed the theme too, with survival-inspired dishes and cocktails that felt equal parts playful and edgy. But the real showstopper was the VR lounge. Guests could strap on headsets and step into a fully immersive apocalyptic world before or after their meal. And if that wasn't enough, the bar offered an extensive cigar selection for anyone wanting to linger. At Mad Rex, dinner wasn't just about eating, it was about living out your own end-of-days fantasy. The Deuce, Phoenix, Arizona. In Phoenix, Arizona, an old warehouse got a second life as one of the quirkiest hangouts in town, the Deuce. From the outside, it looks like nothing more than a big industrial building. But step inside and you'll find a mashup of just about everything under the sun. Part restaurant, part coffee bar, part vintage shop, and even part gym. The Deuce feels like a time capsule that exploded into a playground. You could sip craft cocktails at a glamorous 1950s Art Deco bar, salvaged from Chicago's legendary Black Orchid nightclub, then wander over to check out racks of retro clothes or funky antiques. And if that wasn't enough, you could even squeeze in a workout, on real vintage gym equipment no less. Whether you came for the food, the caffeine, or just the sheer curiosity, the Duke was all about mixing old-school charm with modern-day fun. Teatro Zinzani, Seattle, Washington. If dinner and a show sound like your style, then Teatro Zinzani in Seattle took that idea to dazzling new heights. This wasn't your average night out. It was a full-blown circus wrapped around a fine dining experience. Housed inside a colorful, vintage-style Spiegel tent, the moment you stepped through the doors, you were swept into a world of spectacle. Comedians cracked jokes at your table, acrobats soared above your head, and cabaret dancers swirled across the floor, all while you worked your way through a multi-course gourmet meal. The best part? There was no stage tucked away in the corner. The action happened all around you, weaving between tables so close you could feel the rush of air as performers flipped past. It was part theater, part circus, part dinner party, and entirely unforgettable. Bubble Room, Captiva Island, Florida. Down on Captiva Island, Florida, there's a restaurant where the holidays never end. The Bubble Room proudly declares, "It's always Christmas here." And they mean it. Step inside and you're instantly surrounded by twinkling lights, ornaments, and wall-to-wall holiday cheer, no matter what month the calendar says. The decor is pure kitsch in the best way possible. Think vintage toys, moving trains, and colorful displays that make you feel like you've walked into Santa's attic. Every room burst with personality, each corner packed with something new to spot. Of course, the food adds to the fun. Guests rave about the restaurant's signature bubble bread, warm and garlicky enough to make anyone's spirits bright. And before leaving, many stop by the gift shop to snag a quirky keepsake, carrying a little bit of that year-round Christmas magic home with them. At the Bubble Room, it's the holidays every single day. Charlie Russell Choo Choo, Lewistown, Montana. In Lewistown, Montana, dinner came with a view. And not just any view. The Charlie Russell Choo Choo was a dinner train that served up hearty prime rib, while rolling through some of the state's most breathtaking landscapes. The journey lasted about 3 hours, carrying guests past open farmland, rolling hills, and wide stretches of prairie where deer, elk, and other wildlife often made an appearance. It wasn't just about the food, it was about experiencing Montana's rugged beauty in motion, paired with good company and live entertainment. Depending on the season, riders could choose between different themed trains like the classic Montana dinner train, or even a festive North Pole version during the holidays. Both offered climate-controlled cars and live music, turning the ride into a moving celebration. With its mix of hearty Western fare, music, and endless scenery, the Choo Choo was part meal, part adventure, and all Montana charm. If you could visit just one of these bizarre restaurants, which one would you pick, and why? Pirates Dinner Adventure, Orlando, Florida. In Orlando, Florida, dinner once came with a swashbuckling twist at the Pirates Dinner Adventure. This wasn't just a meal, it was a full-on voyage into the golden age of piracy. The setting alone was jaw-dropping. Inside a massive theater, a shimmering man-made lagoon held 6 full-sized Spanish galleon replicas, each one ready for battle. Guests were seated aboard these ships, turning the audience into part of the crew. While you dug into a feast hearty enough for the hungriest sailor, the action unfolded all around you. Acrobats swung from rigging, pirates clashed swords, and daring stunts kept the energy high from start to finish. Best of all, the show was interactive, pulling diners into the adventure and making every table feel like part of the story. At Pirates Dinner Adventure, you didn't just watch a performance. You lived out your own high seas fantasy while polishing off dessert. Al Johnson's Swedish restaurant, Sister Bay, Wisconsin. In Sister Bay, Wisconsin, there's a restaurant where the strangest part isn't on the menu, it's on the roof. At Al Johnson's Swedish restaurant, goats roam freely across the grassy rooftop, delighting visitors who stop to watch them trot, graze, and occasionally pose for photos. Inside, the charm continues. The restaurant leans proudly into its Scandinavian roots, with servers dressed in traditional Swedish attire, and a cozy beer garden that feels straight out of Northern Europe. Families gather in the casual dining room to enjoy hearty plates of authentic comfort food. Swedish meatballs smothered in gravy, stacks of buttery pancakes, and other home-style favorites passed down through generations. It's a mix of novelty and tradition that's made Al Johnson's a Midwest landmark. Whether you came for the goats, the food, or just the quirky experience, this is one restaurant where the roof is every bit as famous as the kitchen. Rattlesnake Saloon. Tucked beneath a towering cliff in Tuscumbia, Alabama, the Rattlesnake Saloon is one of the most unique watering holes in the country. The main bar isn't housed in a building at all, it's set inside a massive cave, complete with a natural rock overhang and even a waterfall cascading nearby. The result is a stunning backdrop that feels part rustic hideaway, part outdoor adventure. Whether you're staying at the Seven Springs Lodge or just stopping in for the experience, the saloon has plenty of open-air seating to welcome families, big groups, and curious travelers. Afternoons often fill with live music, laughter, and the smell of good food drifting through the cavern. The menu sticks to crowd favorites: crispy onion rings, loaded nachos, and hearty burgers made with beef sourced from local ranchers. And when 5 o'clock rolls around, the bar opens, turning this natural wonder into one unforgettable party spot. The Safe House. If you've ever wanted to live out your own spy movie, then the Safe House in Milwaukee and Chicago has the perfect cover. This restaurant is a full-blown espionage adventure, complete with secret entrances, hidden corridors, and a password required just to get in. Without it, you might find yourself performing a silly clearance test at the door, while other guests watch on hidden cameras. Once inside, the fun really begins. The restaurant is packed with spy memorabilia, secret passages, and interactive exhibits that make every visit feel like a mission. Families can enjoy daytime operations, where kids get to explore the tunnels and gadgets scattered throughout the space while snacking on burgers and fries. At night, the mood shifts. Agents gather to debrief over martinis, craft cocktails, and shareable bites from an award-winning menu. Whether you're a casual diner or a full-on 007 fan? The safe house makes dinner feel like classified fun. The Airplane Restaurant. In Colorado Springs, dining really does take flight at the Airplane Restaurant. As the name suggests, this isn't just airplane-themed, it's an actual airplane. Guests sit down to eat inside a massive 1950s Boeing KC-97 fuel tanker, a military aircraft that once soared the skies before being retired in the 1970s. In 2002, it found a second life, transformed into one of the most unique dining spots in America. The plane seats 42 diners right in its narrow fuselage, instantly bringing back memories of mid-century air travel, minus the turbulence. Alongside the aircraft, there's also a full bar and a main dining room filled with aviation memorabilia, from model planes to historical photos. Even the menus double as a history lesson, sharing stories of the KC-97 and the Wright brothers. Whether for lunch, dinner, or just a night out with a twist, the Airplane Restaurant serves nostalgia with every meal. Still with us on this nostalgic journey? Drop a yes in the comments so we know you're enjoying it. Auto Spa Bistro. In Atlanta, someone finally combined two errands most people never have time for: washing the car and grabbing a meal. The result? Auto Spa Bistro, a one-of-a-kind spot where you can fuel up your stomach while your car gets polished to perfection. Here's how it works. You pull in, hand over your keys, and while the crew goes to work detailing your ride, you head inside to the full-service bistro. Instead of waiting in a boring lobby with stale coffee, you're treated to a real dining experience. The menu is surprisingly extensive, with hearty breakfast platters, fresh lunch options, and even dinner entrees for those stopping by later in the day. There's also a full bar if you want to unwind while the suds do their work outside. By the time you're done eating, your car is spotless, your belly is full, and one more chore is crossed off the list. Casa Bonita. Just outside of Denver stands one of America's most over-the-top dining landmarks, Casa Bonita. For more than 40 years, this Mexican restaurant has been part meal, part spectacle, and all Colorado legend. You can't miss it from the outside. An 85-foot pink castle tower rises above the neighborhood, complete with a massive fountain imported straight from Mexico. Step inside, and the extravagance only grows. The centerpiece is a 3-story waterfall that splashes into a 14-foot pool, setting the stage for nightly performances. Diners munch on tacos, burritos drenched in Colorado's famous green chili sauce, and sizzling fajitas while cliff divers leap dramatically into the water below. But that's not all. Casa Bonita layers on puppet shows for kids, rowdy gunfight reenactments, and live music, making the experience feel like dinner at a theme park. With beer, wine, and endless entertainment, Casa Bonita has never just been about food. It's been about unforgettable memories. The Varsity. In the heart of Atlanta, no restaurant is more iconic than the Varsity. Since opening in 1928, this family-owned spot has become a Southern legend, once proudly claiming the title of the world's largest drive-in. Even Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton couldn't resist stopping by for a bite. What makes the Varsity so special isn't just the food, it's the experience. Walk up to the counter and you'll be greeted with a booming, "What'll you have?" A signature welcome that's been shouted for generations. The menu is simple but timeless. Juicy burgers, crispy fries, frosty shakes, and chili dogs that regulars swear by. Part of the fun is the lingo. Order a burger with ketchup, mustard, and pickles, and you've got yourself a naked steak. Pair it with strings, fries, ring one, onion rings, and wash it down with the bright, tangy Varsity orange. At the Varsity, every meal feels like a taste of Atlanta history. Coochie Coochie. In a city buzzing with college bars and student hangouts, Coochie Coochie stood out as something truly different. Opened in 2001 in Cambridge's Central Square, this retro-themed bar and restaurant transported guests back to the glitz and glamour of the 1940s. Owners Tamara Burso and Fernanda da Silva wanted to give the neighborhood a dash of old Hollywood sparkle, and they delivered in style. From the moment you walked in, the vibe was pure vintage elegance. Servers dressed to the nines in glamorous, theatrical outfits, chandeliers casting a golden glow, and cheeky decor touches that made the whole place feel like a movie set. The menu leaned towards small plates designed for sharing, paired with inventive cocktails that kept the night lively. Perfect for date nights, celebrations, or just escaping the ordinary, Coochie Coochie offered Cambridge a playful slice of retro sophistication in a town better known for beer and books, Tommy Gunn's Garage. Step back into the roaring 20s at Tommy Gunn's Garage in Chicago, a dinner theater that turns every night into a Prohibition-era speakeasy. From the moment you walk through the doors, you're no longer just a guest. You're part of the action, Swept up in Chicago's infamous history of gangsters, flappers, and hidden booze joints, the menu is as hearty as it is nostalgic, featuring comfort classics like lasagna, prime rib, and other stick-to-your-ribs entrees, all cleverly named after legendary Chicago crime figures like Big Jim Colosimo and Big Bill Thompson. And of course, no speakeasy would be complete without cocktails, so you can sip a Clarabo's Cosmo or Gloria Swanson's Sunset Boulevard while the entertainment unfolds. Flappers dance across the stage, gangsters dodge the cops, and the entire room buzzes with 1920s energy. Joni's Blue Crab Cafe. If you're looking for a restaurant with a view, forget city skylines. At Joni's Blue Crab Cafe in the Florida Everglades, the locals you'll spot are alligators lounging just beyond the patio. This no-frills seafood shack doesn't bother with fancy decor or white tablecloths. Instead, it delivers authentic swamp-side charm and plates, piled high with fried seafood. Everything here is served on paper plates, but the flavors are big and bold. Diners rave about the crab cakes, fried shrimp, and crispy crab, but the real claim to fame is the legendary swamp combo. This daring platter serves up frog legs, gator nuggets, crab cakes, and fried bread, giving you a taste of Florida's wilder side all in one meal. Grab a cold beer, pull up a chair outside, and soak in the swampy scenery. At Joni's, the food is hearty, the vibe is laid back, and the neighbors have scales and teeth. The Catacombs. Deep beneath the town of Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, lies a restaurant that feels like dining in another century. The Catacombs, located in the cellar of historic Bouvet's Brewery, embraces its 19th century roots with a menu that blends old-world German beer hall traditions and modern fine dining. The brewery itself was founded back in 1876 by German immigrant Alois Bouvet, and visitors can tour the old buildings before heading underground. Descending several stories into the massive stone cellar, guests are greeted with flickering light, arched ceilings, and walls that once stored and aged barrels of lager. It's a setting that feels both rustic and elegant, perfect for a hearty plate of grilled lamb chops, a juicy New York strip, or seafood and pasta paired with fresh beer brewed upstairs. The Catacombs also host themed events, from medieval-style banquets with actors to public feasts accompanied by live musicians. Dining here isn't just a meal, it's an experience steeped in history. There you have it. Some of the strangest, most unforgettable restaurants America's ever seen. Did I miss one of your favorites? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip, be sure to subscribe, share Back to Yesterday with a friend, and check out more videos in this series. Thanks for watching.